Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. So, again, we're joined by the two main hosts of the podcast. It's me, myself, Enrico, and across from me we have...
Hello, everyone. Ben, back on the show. Hopefully you enjoy this episode 2 of this podcast.
Okay, so, in this episode, we're going to cover the fight night with Paul Felder and Dan Hooker, and we're also going to cover the incredible UFC 248, which is the last event so far that was performed in front of a crowd before coronavirus kind of like canceled their crowded events. So we're gonna start off with Paul Felder and Dan Hooker aftermath, what happened. We're gonna break down what happened during the fight, how it went down, and all that good stuff. So we'll start off by stating the obvious. So we know who won. It was Dan Hooker, and first of all, I just want to say it was an incredible fight. I think that Dan Hooker did deserve the win, personally, but like Paul Felder, after like round 3, 4, 5, Paul Felder just gave it his absolute all, and we saw this happen, progress. We saw his performance progress slowly. I was wondering, before the fight started, what was your predictions? Who did you think was going to win? Did you think it was going to be Paul Felder taking it, or you thought Dan Hooker was taking the gold the other way?
Well, first off, a big thing for Dan Hooker is basically he fights with Israel Adesanya. He was training before the fight with a guy that has an 18-0 record, so that's like a major impact. But also, I feel like kickboxing is like a really good he's really good at kickboxing, which is a good thing to have. Where like Paul Felder, mostly he's good at his elbows and spinning kicks. So I feel like Dan Hooker, I felt like he was gonna win the fight.
I agree with the Dan Hooker also. I remember we covered this in the last episode, how we both made a prediction. We both said Dan Hooker. He ended up winning. But I expected more of Dan Hooker. We covered last time. He likes to be in close and throw the elbows, and he did a couple times. But watching the fight, I was expecting way more elbows, because I thought he was going to come in close, just let his elbows loose, just, fight him in close. But we didn't see that much. We saw him kind of take his time on the outside, work it a little bit, touch him up a little bit. Round 3, 4, 5, we saw him really work, but he wouldn't really come in close and throw his elbows as much as he usually does. It was a different approach for this fight. It was
not only that, he kind of his elbows weren't really landing on Dan Hooker really. First round, he was trying to land an elbow and he fell he lost his balance and fell, which was kind of sort of embarrassing to start off the fight.
I want to talk about quickly. I just want to cover quickly how crazy it was. So how the fight, how it really evolved. It was insane how Dan Hooker, we saw him dominating round 1 and 2. Some people say that round 2 was different, how they think Paul Felder won. But I say that Dan Hooker easily dominated that fight. Dan Hooker dominated the round 1 and 2. But then also, when Paul Felder went back to the corner for the end of round 2, started round 3, his coach brought up the name. And the coach said, word for word, remember why he came here? He came to fight for his daughter. For your daughter. You did this for your daughter. And every light just turned on his body. He just flamed every spark. And round 3, 4, 5, Paul Felder came out and literally it was incredible. I knew the outcome because I saw what happened before watching the fight. I knew the outcome. When I went to watch it again, I honestly didn't know who was going to win. It was an incredible fight.
I feel like Dan Hooker kind of came in on Paul Felder. He kind of they wrestled a bit, and then they kind of clinched at some point. So I feel like Dan Hooker was kind of controlling the fight more where Paul Felder was at the start. Dan Hooker was kind of controlling it more. Paul Felder was kind of defending himself. I feel.
I think that round 1 and 2 was a little back and forth. And I guess I agree with the fact that Dan Hooker dominated more, but round 3, 4, 5 was an absolute war. It was an incredible fight. They both walked out with crazy injuries where I think it was an hour or two after the fight, and it would be the picture on Instagram is Dan Hooker and Paul Felder next to each other on a stretcher in a hospital, and it's both of them together just giving thumbs up. Like, it was incredible. It was incredible to see that, like, the good sportsmanship. It's also incredible, like, Dan Hooker's face had bumps everywhere. Paul Felder's eye was swollen shut. It was an absolute war. It was incredible to watch. It was fun to be a part of, just as a spectator, as a viewer. I think it was really good.
One thing that was kind of like surprising was like the first round already, like Paul Felder's eye was already kind of swelling up. I feel like that was kind of like a little surprise for me, that he was already like, his eye was already swelling, and then like round 2 or 3, his eye was kind of like closing. No, I feel like it was getting worse and worse, and like round 4, his eye was like basically closed shut, and it was like, it's like not looking too good for him.
I just want to advance a little bit, because we have a bunch of topics to talk about in not that much time. I want to talk about how at the end of the fight, Paul Felder said, word for word, that fight might have been his last one before his retirement because of his 4-year-old child, I believe, 4-year-old daughter, who always has to see him leave for a fight. And he said on the mic after the fight that he might retire, but then after, his manager said that with all the emotions running, he doesn't think Paul Felder actually means what he's saying. So I want to do you think he's gonna retire? Do you think he really is just gonna leave the game, or do you think he's just gonna stay around for a little longer?
I think if he has a good fight, like a good opponent, he'd probably take it. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like in the ring he was like kind of emotional, so that's why he said that. So like I feel like it was like kind of like a different vibe than like when he was talking to his manager. I feel like if he retires, I think he retires on like a good run of fights. Like he ended off pretty well, even though he didn't get the win. I feel like he still put on a really great show. So I feel like if he retires now, he would probably retire with no regrets. But I feel like if he has like a good opponent to fight, he would probably take it. But I don't know. I feel like leaving your daughter is kind of like hard to do, as like for like few weeks is like kind of hard. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he would like spend time with his daughter, and then maybe if there's an opponent he could fight, he'll fight with he'll set up a fight with the opponent.
I agree with the fact that he does have a daughter and it's hard for him, but I don't think it's wise for him to retire. If he were to retire right now and it was all over social media that he was confirming his retirement, I wouldn't be like, well, that sucks. I don't know why you do that. I understand why, he has a daughter at home and all that stuff. But as a fighter, and from a fighter's standpoint, he has such a good career ahead of him. He's still in the top 10 contender of lightweight. He has incredible opponents coming up. I mean, yesterday was a fight night, and we had a fighter call out Paul Felder after his win. Like, it's not like he fell off. Like you said, he's still a good fighter. I think top 5, maybe he's 6th right now. He still has a really bright kind of future for MMA and in the UFC. I think he has a really good career. He's still on a really good path. And I don't think retirement, from the stats standpoint, from where he's at, like in his career, I don't think retirement's the best option. But if he were to retire, I'd be completely fine with that. So we're gonna quickly move on to we're gonna talk about UFC 248 was crazy. We went from absolutely amazing fights. Some of them that went in the Hall of Fame for one of the greatest fights, women and men history, which is the Weili Zhang fight, which we're going to cover now. And then we had very controversial fights, like the Romero to Adesanya, which, from my opinion, it was not fun to watch at all. Nothing that much happened. We're going to get to that later. We're just going to cover the Weili Zhang and Joanna aftermath. And I want to touch up on Weili Zhang's record a little bit. She came in this fight on a 20-win streak. She's 20-1. She lost 1 in her pro MMA career. She's won 20 straight after that. And she's coming in for Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is an incredible fighter. She used to be the champion for the women's fighter. She had the belt for 960 something days. She was a champion for 960 days. It was incredible. And that fight was absolutely nuts. I don't know, what are your opinions on that fight?
Oh my god, like right off the bat it was like already crazy. But a major thing that like Weili Zhang did was when when Joanna was like going in for like a jab or something, she would go do kind of the same thing and kind of like do some equal damage to each other. I feel like.
I personally disagree with it. I don't think they did equal damage at all. I think that Weili, she's a powerhouse. She has more strength than Joanna, that's for sure. And every punch she threw with absolute power. As of Joanna, she tried to set up combinations. She may have landed maybe a 3-punch combination on Weili, but Weili's maybe one punch would do more damage than the 3 punches because she would throw with absolute intention to put you out. She threw with power, and you saw at round 4, round 5, when she had a huge bubble on her head, her head swelled completely. Joanna's head swelled completely. It was incredible. The power that Weili has, I have to disagree. I have to disagree completely about what you said. But I want to get into, before we continue talking about the fight, I want to get into their background. Like, we know that Weili Zhang is she's a well-rounded fighter. She's good on the floor. She doesn't really have grappling, like submission skills. She's good. Like I said before, she's a really good striker. She hits incredibly hard. And then you have Joanna, who she's kickboxer. She fought Muay Thai. She was a European Muay Thai champion. So just from knowing those two details of both fighters, we knew it was going to be an all-out war striking-wise, due to the fact that Joanna was a Muay Thai champion and that Weili Zhang was incredibly well-rounded fighter with incredible power. So it was, you can kind of predict that it was going to be an absolute amazing fight.
Yeah, and Weili Zhang, like in like the first, like the end of like round 3-4, she was kind of like getting tired, but she was still like she was still in the fight and still like doing a lot of damage to Joanna for like her jabs and like her kicks and stuff like that. She was like kind of like still doing quite a bit of damage, even though she was like kind of tired and like exhausted about it.
But a lot of people, like, during the fight, a lot of people said that she was tired, but I didn't see that for some reason. For sure they were both tired, but I don't think they were as tired as people anticipated she was. She was still bouncing around a bunch. She was moving in and out. She was very quick on her feet still. I don't think people were that tired. I don't think people thought she was as tired as she actually was. I think everyone was kind of over-exaggerating on how tired she was because she was still moving quick. You saw at some points they had clinch battles, which I didn't understand why Joanna would initiate it since Weili's much more powerful. You saw that Weili was still controlling the clinches, which consumes a bunch of energy. She was still doing very well in clinches. She was very active. She threw a lot of volume. I don't think she was as tired as people thought she was.
But I think she had like more on the line. Like Weili Zhang had more on the line. If she lost it, she would give the belt to Joanna. So, like, I feel like she had the belt on the line, so she had to put her all, like, at all times, even though if she was exhausted or not. But she kind of didn't show that she was exhausted, but you could, like, kind of tell. Like, when the rounds ended, she was kind of, like, felt like she was exhausted. But I don't know.
I have a question for you. What makes you think that she was exhausted?
Well, like, at the start of the fight, her hands were kind of up, and then, I don't know, kind of, like, went a little down. But I think, I don't know, I just felt like she was exhausted. I don't know.
So you just, based off of feeling, you think she was exhausted?
Yeah, feeling and, like, I don't know. I just feel like I think round 4, she kind of, like, was getting a little exhausted. Her punches weren't really as hard, I feel like. I don't know.
Oh, I would say her punches were much harder at the end because she knew she was coming to the end of it. I can agree that she didn't throw as much, but her punches at the end, she was looking to absolutely put her away. She threw everything. She threw with power in the beginning, but the last couple rounds, she threw with everything she had to put her away. I agree with the fact that she didn't throw enough, and of course she was tired, but I don't think she was exhausted. If the round went, like 7 rounds, I still think she would, then I think she'd be exhausted. Because she, like I said, you're basing it off of feeling, which, I don't know, I guess maybe some people can do that. But from what I saw, she was still moving around a bunch. She was still throwing strikes. She wouldn't just, back off, take a break, and go back in. She would stay in the strike zone. She'd fight. She'd throw clinches. I don't think she was as tired as I think she was. I think she was not fresh. I think she was tired. I don't think she was, exhausted. I think she could have really still pushed forward.
What about Joanna?
Joanna was she wasn't that tired at all. I think she had more energy. She threw more. Joanna, her problem was not that she wasted energy, and she did really well. The fight was very close. First of all, she did very well in like the slugfests like in the middle, but I still can't understand why she would clinch with a fighter like Weili Zhang, who is much more stronger than her, who throws harder than her, and whose performance, one of her best performances, or just has an advantage in general in the clinch. I don't understand why she would do that. And I guess I can understand maybe sometimes you get a little tired and you want to recuperate, but with a fight like Weili Zhang, I don't think you're gonna want to recuperate by getting by being in a clinch. I don't think that's the best way. But the fight in general, it was giving credit to both of them. It was an all-out war. It went down in history as the best women's title fight. It was constant action. I mean, I was watching it we were there watching with a bunch of our friends, and half of them don't even watch UFC. We had one that didn't even like the sport in general, and he fell in love with the fight. It was incredible. It was an all-out war. They threw everything they had. They literally left everything they had in the octagon. It was incredible. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah. What was your reaction at the end of the fight, where how Joanna looked at the end?
Of how she looked?
Yeah.
Well, we knew that she was completely busted up. She had, her forehead was incredibly swollen, but she ate a bunch of blows from Weili. And you saw Weili, she was injured too, but nowhere near as bad as Joanna. Joanna really got hurt. But Weili, she had her eye was slowly swelling. It was kind of bad. But what was crazy is, I guess the injuries, yeah, it was nuts that Joanna, what happened, how she looked at the end. But the fight could have easily gone either way. Easily. It was a split decision. They both went absolutely crazy in it. I know from the way I've been expressing the fight, like for the past 5 minutes, it may look like I was saying Weili Zhang was dominating, but she was not dominating. It was a really, really close fight. It was a brutal war. It was close, and it could have gone either way. Absolutely either way. It was nuts.
Kind of feel like the same way-ish. Like, I kind of feel like, well, I feel like Joanna kind of like missed, like she kind of, how much did she lose by? Did she lose by like a few points? Or
she didn't lose by that much. She lost by a little bit.
So yeah, I guess it was like a close fight. It was really well fought, but I feel like Joanna really took a lot more damage than Zhang.
I can agree with, she took more damage, but she landed more strikes. She threw more and landed more, but Weili, like when she landed, it hurt more, and you were able to see by the injuries at the end. But the fight, basically, the winner was either, this is how the judges scored the contest. It either won because Weili either did more damage, and because she had control in the clinch battles, or if, let's say Joanna were to win, it'd be because she threw more strikes, she landed more strikes, and her combinations, 3 out of the 4 punches were landing. As of Weili, she would throw 2, she'd land, let's say she'd even land 2, and those 2 would do more damage than the 3 that land of Joanna, or the 4 that land of Joanna. Like, Joanna would throw more. The way the judges based it was guaranteed it was either injuries over strikes.
I feel like also Weili Zhang, she kind of put more damage to Joanna's legs. Like, it was, her legs were more swelled than Zhang's legs. Like, she kind of like Joanna was like doing like mostly like punches and jabs, and like Weili like kind of did more kicks, I feel like.
I think Joanna did way more kicks. I think Weili just returned kicks.
But it did less power.
Yeah, for sure. Weili. But that's just, the reason why it's less power is because Weili, she throws with intention to hurt you, but she's just she's super strong. You see her physique in the weigh-ins, and she has more muscle than everyone in this household at the moment combined. Like, it just, she's incredible. She can literally be a professional bodybuilder but she's fighting in the UFC. She's just naturally strong. It's incredible. So, what do you think? What do you think's next for Weili Zhang? We know that she called out Valentina Shevchenko, who's the champion of strawweight, I believe. Do you think that she should be fighting Valentina Shevchenko? Because she's in the division where Shevchenko's at. We know that there's a huge distance in talent and in between the fighters of the champion, which is Shevchenko, and the number one contender, which is Chukagian. We know there's a huge talent gap. Do you think Weili Zhang should be fighting Valentina Shevchenko? Do you think that they're a somewhat even match? We know that Weili is higher on the pound for pound scale, so that she's on paper she's better. But do you think that she'll actually beat Valentina Shevchenko?
I kind of feel like she will. First off, I don't know why, but her power in her punches are just crazy, and I feel like she'll do a lot of damage to Shevchenko. I feel like she'll do a lot of damage to her in the fight where Shevchenko will, I don't know, I think she'll try put a lot of damage on her, but I don't think she'll do as much damage as Weili. So I feel like Weili, if they fight it out, I think Weili will come out with the victory.
I could agree with the fact that if she lands, she'll do more damage. But Valentina Shevchenko, if Joanna and Weili Zhang was a close fight, I don't think that Weili's gonna come anywhere near Valentina. She's literally a different breed of fighter. She can take you to the ground at any instant. Joanna was a 5-time European Muay Thai champion, as Valentina is a world Muay Thai champion. She's literally Valentina is literally Joanna, but on roids. It's incredible. She's much better as a fighter. I personally, even though on paper they say that Weili Zhang's better, I think that Joanna will literally dominate that fight. She's so well rounded. She's good with her kick. She's an incredible striker. I think that Valentina will dominate.
But do you think it's gonna be a unanimous decision, knockout, or submission?
I think so. If they were to fight, let's say tomorrow, let's say they were all healed and they're fighting tomorrow, I think that Valentina will win via knockout or unanimous decision. But more knockout. I'll lean more to knockout. But if there's a 3-4 month, not even, there can be from a 3 to a 6 month gap between the next fight. A fighter can change drastically in a 3 to 6 months. So unless Weili really trains and focuses and tries to find the flaws of Valentina and focuses on her flaws and how she can fix it, focuses on what fighting style she should use or focus on coming in the fight, then I guess she has a better chance. But if they were to fight, let's say tomorrow, I think Valentina would easily dominate that fight.
Do you think that Shevchenko will probably do the same thing to Chukagian and maybe finish the fight in a crucifix, or do you think Weili probably won't end up like that?
Well, first of all, the crucifix has only been, I think, 8 or 7 knockouts of crucifix in the UFC. So the crucifix in particular is very rare to happen. It's just it's like a freak accident, But
do you think she could get herself in there? Do you think Weili could get herself in there?
Get her in the crucifix, I don't know, because that's too specific. But on the ground, I definitely see it going to the ground. I can see it happening striking, like how they fought Weili and Joanna. But I can also really, especially Shevchenko, she's really good at taking you down at any instant in the snap of her fingers. I can definitely see it happening to the ground. Quickly, I just want to talk about, we're slowly running out of time, and we got to cover the Israel Adesanya and the Romero fight. The tragic fight, absolute tragic fight. There's a lot of hype around it, and it honestly, personally, I feel like it just kind of let us down. What did you have going through your mind coming into this fight? What did you think?
I was excited, and I felt like Obviously Israel Adesanya is an undefeated champion, so like I felt like he would probably defend his title, but I feel like I was really excited for this fight, and I felt like it was gonna be the fight of the night, but it kind of wasn't. Literally, the start of the fight, literally Adesanya was just trying to like get in to Romero, and all he was doing was just standing there and just like it was really stupid because he was trying to prove a point because of the press conference where Romero's like, you'll probably lose because because in the first few rounds you usually tire yourself out. So all you saw was just Adesanya literally just trying to do something, but your Romero was just not even like he was just not even doing anything. He was just standing there and just defending nothing. Basically, it was kind of like.
Well, I can agree with that. But it's also, I want to mention one thing. Yoel Romero did nothing. And due to Yoel Romero just standing there and waiting for Adesanya doing his first move, Adesanya responded by also doing nothing. And if you break down the fight just quickly, you see that Adesanya, he's a kickboxing champion. He's a incredible stand-up fighter. And Romero is a Olympic wrestler. He's a silver medalist in the Olympics for wrestling. And a striker's kryptonite, someone who's really good at fighting standing up, their kryptonite is being taken to the ground. And Yoel Romero is a Olympic silver medalist in wrestling. It literally does not get worse than that for Adesanya. It's the biggest threat. But what I don't understand, and I've seen this a lot during interviews, is that Yoel Romero just doesn't use his wrestling. He uses it sometimes. He just tries to explode and kill you on his feet.
Yeah, because his punches do a lot of damage.
I can agree with that, but you have the winning tool in your arsenal. You can literally go up to Adesanya, take him down. First of all, I'm not saying it's easy to take someone down. You have to time it properly. But with the knowledge of your Romero being an Olympic silver medalist, I'm pretty sure he could have found a couple takedowns, a couple entries, a couple good times to take him down. And like you said, with the power of his punches, if you take away feet, the ability to stand to a world-class striker, they're literally nothing unless they have a grappling game, which we don't know if Adesanya does. We've never seen someone take him and keep him down. We've never seen someone try. They ever try to stand up with him. Romero had the winning tool in his arsenal, but he just wouldn't use it.
Another thing that like already the fight was already bad, but I think in I don't know what round it was. I think it was like the third or fourth, where he got poked in the eye. I feel like if Romero got the okay where he couldn't fight by the medical staff, I would have been so pissed because it was already a really bad fight, and if Romero won by doing literally almost nothing, it would have been really a really terrible fight and probably a really bad fight that happened. Well, I don't know. As a main event on top of it all.
First of all, it's already a really bad fight, but it'd be a bad way to end the fight. Imagine you have a very highly anticipated fight. A lot of people, they see Romero, he explodes. There's a lot of action in Romero's fight. We see Adesanya, he's a really good counter puncher. They mesh together properly, although it is scary that Romero has a wrestling background. But in a fight that's anticipated to have a lot of action, ends with the highlights of the fight being 5-6 kicks and 3 punches to the head. That's the whole highlights. In fact, that's the whole fight. Forget about the highlights. The highlights is the entire fight. And just to end it off, probably the worst way a fight can end, by an eye poke or by a non-contest win, it would really just put the nail in the coffin and make it a terrible fight to watch as a viewer. It just.
Who do you think that Adesanya is gonna fight next?
Guaranteed. Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa. In fact, he was gonna fight Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa got injured, which Adesanya had to make the choice. He's either I wait for Paulo Costa, or I fight someone else, and then go back to him later. And he said, I'm gonna call out one person that everyone was afraid to call out, Yoel Romero, which led to this devastating fight. But anyways, Paulo Costa, again, just like this fight, which was anticipated to have a lot of action and didn't, the fight against Costa is supposed to also have a lot of action. It's supposed to be absolute action-filled fight. I hope it doesn't go down like this did, but that's most likely going to be Adesanya's next fight. What do you think? You think he's gonna fight someone else, or can you agree that he's fighting Costa?
I'm not really too sure about Costa. I think maybe like someone should call him out. Maybe someone should like call him out before, because I don't know too much about Costa, so I'm not really sure. I feel like I think if someone calls him out, then maybe fight him. But maybe I think Paul Costa may be a good one, but I'm not too sure really about that.
Yeah, alright. So, but do you think that he should rematch Robert Whittaker who was the previous champion, or you think?
I think maybe that would be pretty good fight. Like his belt will probably be like kind of on the line. Like he'll probably
guaranteed be on the line.
Like no, like I mean like it would be like a high percentage that he may get it taken away.
Oh, okay, I see.
Or like the Romero, like you kind of thought he would if he like knocked him out or whatever, but it was like when we saw the fight, it was like kind of like nothing. Like his belt was on the line, but it was like okay, his belt's on the line, but this fight was just like kind of like just tragic and just boring and whatever.
All right, so well, we're gonna. It was a good couple topics we went through. We quickly try to go through the Paul Felder, Dan Hooker, but we had 3 topics to talk about, and it took longer. You know, we had to rush it because there's just so much information. We have a controversial fight, which was Adesanya Romero, which ended brutally. Which I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wanted a refund after paying to watch that fight. Then we had the co-main event of UFC 240, which was Weili, Zhang, and Joanna, which was an absolute Hall of Fame fight. One of the greatest title fights for women or men's title fights. And then we had Paul Felder, which was another incredible fight, which ended off with the potential retirement of one of the top 10 contenders in lightweight division, Paul Felder. So it was a good time. You know, it was a good topics that we went through. It was good conversations we had. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. We know that there's a huge fight coming up, Ferguson versus Khabib. It's supposed to be one of the highest watched, highest viewed, highest main event. I believe it's UFC 249. It's going to be one of the craziest fights to watch. It's going to pull in one of the biggest numbers in UFC history. I honestly, I cannot wait.
Hopefully it doesn't get canceled because of this coronavirus and other things like that. Been 5 times. See you guys.